Yes, Lana, we're back. It's the doctor's surgery. You know how we do it from 8 until 11 on a Tuesday morning. We bring you Britain's first Black Current Affairs show. If you want to take part in the show, I'd love to hear from you. You can just let us know that you're listening. There was a long break. We know that there were quite a few people listening this morning. So we want to send a shout out to everyone listening this morning. Are you still in tune? Are you still listening? Is anyone new tuned in? 0753 996 8143. I'll give it again, 0753 996 8143. One last time, 0753 996 8143. That's the number, the doctor's surgery. We also broadcasting live on YouTube under the doctor's surgery. If you search the doctor's surgery, and then on the channels, under the filter, you go to channels, we are right at the top, the doctor's surgery. You see it right there. Also on Omega 104.1, omegafmradio.co.uk, on mixcloud.com/Omega DJ, and also on YouTube, Omega London TV presents. These are all the forums and the platforms we're currently broadcasting live on if you want to listen in. So the doctor's surgery on YouTube, we're right there, you'll see us. So what's this about, the Britain's first Black Current Affairs show? If you've been listening since this morning, we've been talking about ongoing issue of the impact of current things on Black people, whether it's the COVID-19 or the general consensus of things at the moment. And one of the things that we always have to keep an eye on is the concerted effort to always push to undermine or impact us in some form of negative way. Um, it's essential and it's important that we understand these things. And perhaps the reason that this is happening is, like I emphasized earlier on today, that we need to create a jewel in the crown. We need a home base, a home reference point, where we are proud of that point of reference. The Chinese, they have China. Indians have India. Um, you know, their countries are doing great things. Whether they be a nuclear power, whether they're sending satellites into outer space, all these things. When we look towards the African continent, it's not that Africa hasn't and given great things to the world. We all know that historically where the information and all for all the success was taken from. However, currently we're in not as great a state that we would want to boast about, are we? And the reason why we know that such a access point of beauty can be uplifting in the sense of greater pride, we just have to look towards the Black Panther movie, where a fictional great African nation created such black pride. Imagine what a real one would do. We have to, you know, have these points in mind, because currently in this Western society, we are struggling. We're struggling in the sense that if we look at the NHS figures, we know that the death rate amongst black people is said to be 4 to 1. It's not being, it's not elaborated on fully enough from my experience. If it has been from yours, I'd love to hear from you for better clarity. But it's not being elaborated on well enough for us to know whether they mean, is that just in London or in those areas where the demographic of black with whites and other BME groups show that um, statistical representation? Or is it more the case that this takes place right across the UK? The UK statistic says 4 times the amount of black people have died from COVID-19. And if that is correct, and we are mindful that there's other groups, BMEs in the mix, because we know that there's so much different categories of In the UK, you have Bangladeshi, Pakistani, Indians, Chinese, Irani. There's so much different types of British groups that they've broken it down to in the UK. And so we know that when they look at the other groups, they say, yes, statistically, these groups are at a higher representation. So that without actually seeing is if it's that's right across the UK in terms of the death figures, that this is what the figures are showing, then that means at a bare minimum there should be around over 20,000 black deaths. I could be wrong. Statistics wasn't my strong point in school. I did it, but it wasn't my strong point. But if it's correct as to my interpretation, that's a lot of black deaths. So why is it that the UK has had more black deaths than the whole continent of Africa? We cannot run autopsies on those bodies to confirm whether they died naturally or under the influence of outsiders. You know what I mean? All these things we have to have a good solid think about because it shows they do not care. Let me say it again. They do not care because statistically something doesn't sound right. Our stats are looking like Brazil stats. And we know in Brazil how disproportionately racist those countries are. And yet the UK stats is as bad as Brazil's. We know that in the United States it's more flagrant and blatant racist and overt racist behavior. And the UK stats ratio wise is as bad as America. So in its subtlety, the subtleness of racism is still rife and still impactful within the UK as with blatant racism. This sets a very somber tone that yes, whilst the UK has done much more in its operational policies to accommodate than most Western nations, we give them that credit. Nonetheless, the outcome is still the same. That's worrisome in a lot of areas. Not all areas. In a lot of areas, the outcome is still the same. When we look at the police may not be kneeling onto someone's neck for 10 minutes without reason, but we know that there are deaths in police custody. We just aren't seeing them. It'd be interesting to know about these deaths in police custody. Let him know on there, please. It'll be interesting to know about these deaths in police custody.
Hello?
Um, but we haven't got the ability to see those videos, and if you've seen those videos, we don't know what's happened to have led to those deaths. But we do know what is more evident in the UK is the concerted effort from the UK police force, which is what they're known for, the intelligence aspect of things, is to undermine and destroy from in a subtle way. You know, they undermine and they destroy someone. And they're doing that to more and more black folks as we speak. Prominent and well-to-do black folks that were thriving and growing within their career. You know, a friend of mine had a child with a mixed race girl. They broke up, and you know, she's now with a white partner. And through some altercation, just giving you an example, through some altercation, the a window was broken by the white partner on his property. He didn't confront them physically, called the police. And when the police arrived at his property, they were questioning him as to how he was able to afford the things in his home as opposed to dealing with the crime at hand. And whilst there was a crime, they didn't arrest nor charge the white partner. They were more focused on scrutinizing the person that called the police. These are the subtleties that impact on us here in the UK. Not all police officers are like that, mind you. I'll, um, I'm saying that because it'll be stupid of me to sit here and say all police are bad. But we do know that there's a lot of racist and bad eggs in the police force. And even some that may not be so racist, they fall due to peer pressure in certain situations. Better you than them, right? So to start to encourage you, my people, to start looking back towards home base. I don't mean the shop down the road. I mean home base. Whether you're from the Caribbean, whether you're from Africa, start investing in those African nations. If you can invest in the UK, you can invest in an African nation. If you can invest in the UK, you can invest in a Caribbean country. You know, because it's white doesn't mean it's always right. And that's one of the things that in our thinking that when I speak to friends who are business minded and entrepreneurial, the first thing they goes, oh, I don't know, it's like, you know, the description of things make it seem like white is right. So anything Europe and European focused is the best way forward for their money as opposed to building something. So we don't seem to want to go through the pain of developing something for ourselves. We want to tie into what we were given to tie into, and then should anything go wrong, what do? They attempt to freeze and take all your assets because it's in their banks and in their institutions and on their soil. And then we cry about it to say, oh, you lot don't like us, you lot fear. You're the idiot. Always, as my grandma would say, don't put all your eggs in one basket. And if you've done that, you're stupid. Don't do that. Now, my grandmother didn't say the last bit, I said the last bit. She just said, don't put that. I guess that it's a saying that everyone knows, but I heard my grandmother put it first because teaching me as a child, right? Don't put all your eggs in one basket. And one cocoa, full basket. Yeah. So we can do our things little by little. It may not be us that sees the greatest ramifications and benefits from it. Might be our children or our children's children based on focus. If China can do it in 11 years, for those that don't know, China achieved greatness within 11 years. It took Britain 120 years to achieve greatness in terms of modern culture. 120 years for Britain to be where it is now. That's how long it took them. 120 years. It took America 80 years. 80. So Britain 120, 120 years. America 80 years. 80. It took China 11 years to do it. Places that were wastelands in China 15 years ago are now vast metropolis larger than London. 11 years. That's how much it took China. How long it took China. It essentially doesn't have to take Africa 200 years. We can learn from the Chinese experience. It can take Africa 20 years, 5 years. Time is only relative to the outcome you want and the amount of effort you're willing to put in. So we can do this. but we have to change attitudes and we have to start creating that mindset, because being here is fine. You can come and go, and we should always build here with what we already have on, so that we can build where we're going, in the sense that we build on what we have to where we have to go. So I'm not saying take what you have and throw it away, but you can grow from here. You don't have to just grow and be here or be stagnant here. You can look for opportunities far afield in those home countries. That's all I'm saying. Because by the sound of things, so next week I'm going to be more specific back onto discussing those topics in and out. But I had to kind of, get this off my chest fully. We have to be mindful, because the acceptance here, we have to recognize that acceptance here will never be 100%. What percentage is acceptance right now? What percentage would you say acceptance here in the UK is right now? What do you think? My producer is not sure. 0753 996 8143. I'll give it again. 0753 996 8143. What level of acceptance do you think we are here in the UK? In America, what we would say about what 40% in America, right? Because for the fact that there's so much videos on social media of white racist folks going up to black people and asking them questions. I mean, that don't happen in England. You know what I'm saying? Because ain't no one got the audacity to come up to me and ask me no stupid question. You know what I mean? And whenever they think they do or they can, they learn the hard way that I'm not one of them people that's going to go yes sir, no sir, three bags full and be polite. I'm very impolite in person, unless I like you. So I am very impolite. My producer knows that. I if I don't know you, if you're a black person, I always have time for you. You know what I'm saying, in some parts. You know what I mean? And polite white people too. But if you come to me with attitude, I don't care what you look like. I don't know you. It's not that kind of party. I'll always give a little bit of time to my people, though. Do you get me? Simply because that's just me. But you can see from those social media broadcasts how it is kind of different in the US than in the UK, because in the UK it's far more you're far more in better stead in terms of, even though Pablo from Acne said he prefers the American way, because he would rather knowingly know when someone doesn't like him, because he knows how to then navigate his way, which is good. I agree with that. As opposed to when someone don't like you, but they're smiling and talking to you as if they do, because that's a true snake. But that's the British way. What they say, stiff upper lip, right? That means what you cannot tell their emotional position or their stance, because whatever you say doesn't phase or garner a reaction. So you don't know where their stance is, whether they're for you or against you. The stiff upper lip, right? Am I correct? So what percentage are we at in the UK in terms of acceptance? A lot of people found it shocking that you still had far right groups that were able to march and attack the police. But were they really attacking the police, or were they trying to attack? They just wanted to fight that day. I think because football wasn't. Any of you racist guys listening? What was it? Because that football ain't been on so long, and you beat the wife so much it didn't make no sense. You beat the wife anymore, so you decided to go fight the police or something. Let me know, innit? 0753 996 8143. I'll give it again, 0753 996 8143. So sometimes that happens, isn't it? You have to vent a little. So you normally vent when Chelsea loses to whoever or whatever the case may be. Or what's the other team that used to be bad? Um, not East Grinstead. What's them team the name? West Ham and them sides there, when they win or lose, and you can't go out and you haven't been able to vent for a minute in the pub. So you just wanted a little bit of ruckus. You weren't really going down there to protect Winston Churchill with the swastika on your chest, were you? You just wanted a little bit of fight with someone. Because you ain't had the lager louted ramble for a while. Is that the case? Or, I can understand that, I can understand logic. If it's the case that you just wanted a little rock, I can understand, and you just want to drink some drinks like you would normally do in the pub and make some noise. But in reality, if you were allowed to do that, if it wasn't locked down, you wouldn't have any time to bother no black man because you would just be making noise in your pub. Or did you really hate the police that much? Because I can understand that one day too. You know what I mean? If it's that you hate the police that much, I ain't gonna comment on the being on the policeman's memorial thing. That one they sound like a keg a dynamite powder or whatever it is of gunpowder. So I ain't going to trample on that one and let that explode on me. You know what I'm saying? So what's going on with that one? What was all that about? Is it that you hate the police? You hate yourself? Who do you hate? Because that was one confused protest, protesting with swastikas and stuff to protect the man that was fighting the man that came with the swastika. Or do you feel that the fight against Hitler was all a ruse? It was just two racist friends fighting for power. Could be that as well. Swastika stands, right? Because another way of looking at it, if we're looking at current affairs and we're talking to things, we know that, should I even say that? I don't even know if anyone's listening, so I'm not even going to go into a new topic right now towards it. 0753 Are you listening? Or am I going to rant and get in trouble for no reason? 0753 Let me know if you're listening. I ain't going to say another word unless I know you're listening. 0753 The doctor's surgery each and every Tuesday. Sometimes one week we wrapped up early because no one texting. So if I don't get a little text or a call in soon, I'm going to assume that there's no one listening. I'm just going to wrap up the show early, put it back on autopilot, and catch you up next week. So let me know if you're listening out there. You know what I mean? Give me a little zest to carry on. It's hard to talk for 3 hours. Yeah, 3 hours. I have to count on my finger. Yeah. So it's hard to talk for 3 hours, but I'd love to hear from you to let me know that you're listening and my talking is not in vain. Yeah, somebody, you have to text you. You couldn't call and give me a little conversation, eh? Give me a little yeah. So, yeah, so again, 0753 That's it's the Doctor's Surgery, Britain's first current affairs show. Bringing you the topics and the discussions that's taken place over the last week. Should I end on that? Since you've called in, let me end on that. If the caller don't go live, if he goes live, I'll talk about it still. Go. Okay.
Give it a couple of minutes. I'll call back.
We call back. Okay. So basically, let me read the text message though. So we're gonna talk about it now because they think they're smart. They think they are so smart with these discussions because they talk about them come defend Adolf. They come in to defend Winston Churchill. We could say Adolf Hitler is the same, almost the same difference in a certain sense. Knowing full well that Winston Churchill was a racist. No, but I understand why the general British public would be upset because Winston Churchill was seen as Britain's savior. He was the person that took the helms and brought Britain through what they call its darkest times. So on that front, as far as they're concerned, the image of Winston Churchill is more important of fairness in today's current society. As the Prime Minister said, it's too late to sugarcoat and whitewash Britain's history. So that means they stand fast by where things currently stand within the UK and its historical point of view. So you wanting Churchill gone will never happen. Not that I even care whether Churchill is statue there or not, but I'm just highlighting that fact. Well,
he was basically saying, is there a purpose to the protest? Because in terms of every time we have a protest, it's always hijacked. So is it a case where we can just stay at home and carry on doing what we're doing?
so is there a purpose to the protest? I mean, the purpose to the protest is
No, just it's been hijacked. So
it's
is
been
there?
no.
It's always been hijacked.
We are hijacking the protest because remember the Black Lives Matter in itself was an hijacking of a previous movement, and that hijacking of a previous movement was brought about for other reasons, so that they could direct Black people's reaction to certain things that takes place within society. As a result, the youth have, in a way, hijacked that. They've taken that, and whilst again, if you go back to the original BLM protest originally, you'll see where it's coming from and who sponsors it and those stuff. However, we've rallied around it and we're making it our own. And now, but the problem is there's no voice, there's no common voice, there's no common consensus. So it becomes difficult to know what the youth are fighting for. And the national media and the national press, they're using this to their advantage. But you have to think how these people use these little nuances and fine pick and create a problem, because they will go on their chat show, what do Black people want? Because there's not a list of demands. Yet the youth are aware of what they want. It's implicit what is wanted, but it's not something that is it's not something that's literal. It's not something that's, I need to see it. And it's not something that's literal. So because it's implied. 206, someone was on a call, so you can call back, but I think whenever someone's on the call, then you can't get through directly when you're calling. So while someone's on a call, you won't be able to get through. But whenever you don't hear someone on the phone line, you can get through 206 if you want to try again. So these are little things that I'm saying. Sorry, I lost my train of thought for a second there. What was I saying? So these are little things, So we have to, like I said, re-hijack and guide what's going on. And like I said, with the youth being placed in harm's way, we have to make sure that society knows I ain't been on the road for a long time protesting, but if any of these youths are harmed, I will be back on the road. And I would love everyone to be in that position as mine. So it's like our children are out there. Make sure you look after them, because you will get a bigger ramification, a bigger repercussion if any of our young people are harmed. And I would love for everyone out there to have that same stance. Our young people are out there pushing to fight for their future, wanting that better balancement. And they're doing a great job. The message is not quite literal, but it's implied. They just want that fair opportunity to be able to exist and coexist without prejudice. It's as simple as that. That's the simple message. They want to exist and coexist without prejudice. They're not asking for handouts. That's why they're not asking for anything.
Just say this, man.
Yes, we are locked in. Go on, keep doing your thing, Jenna. Thank you, Jenna. Text message reads, taught the thing 651. Text message is 971, listening and penetrating all. All right, cool. Thank you very much, all. I appreciate that. So going back to what I was talking about, when they talk about the Winston Churchill thing, they make it out as if there was this good against evil. It wasn't good against evil. It was politics and economics, a fight for power. Because we know that whilst Germany lost the war as a country, we know that the Third Reich as a principle did not. Why? Because the Third Reich was the philosophy. And the philosophy, whilst it was headed up by the Führer, it was created and guided by, what do they say? The science. Does that sound familiar? It was guided by the science. And after, listen to what I'm saying, after Germany lost the Second World War, what was the race for between the West, which is, or the Allies, which is the United States and Britain predominantly, and even though Russia was an ally, there was a race between Russia versus the United States and the UK, a massive race. What was that race? Who could get into and access these scientists, guided by the science, access these scientists fastest. And these scientists that were leading in their field were some taken to, based on which bases were raided and taken first, some taken to Russia, some taken to the United States. Were in a matter of months, what did they create and finish? The atomic bomb, which they tested on Japan. That was a test, because they knew Japan was about to surrender anyway. Go back and do some historical reading. So when they present it as if it was good versus evil and Winston Churchill was a savior, yes, of Britain, but it was the same philosophy. So when you see the swastika protecting the Churchill statue, it could be a Freudian slip or it could be what it is, protecting the Churchill statue. The philosophy, the national pride is one thing, and I will understand why Britain defends Winston Churchill, because he was a British and he was fighting to protect Britain. Great. If I was British, I would do the same thing. I would be proud of him in that sense. But as I seem to be at the brunt of all of this, I have to just start the things as it is. So when you see the swastika protecting Churchill, it's because the philosophy of Nazi Germany didn't end with the war. It just mutated. And though the leaders were still guided by the science till today, we know what came out of that. All the eugenics programs and all these things that were leading the way in Nazi Germany became the Genome Project in the 1990s. That came off from that. They mapped the human genome. The chemical programs became your food and pharmaceutical industry. You think about that one. I'm not going to keep going into it. I'm just kind of highlighting that when you see that it's not essentially a clash of worlds, as they try to make it look and say these people are poor working class whites. They seem to know a little bit more than you may think. Not all poor working class whites. There's a philosophy behind it. And it's the philosophy that they do not like to be highlighted because, again, stiff upper lip subtlety. In America, it's just far more blatant and far more open. So it's one and the same when you see those racist people marching and saying what they're saying. They believe in that notion of superiority, the great Aryan race as it was put and all these stuff. Churchill didn't, text message reads, Churchill didn't apologize for white supremacists taking over the Americas, Australia, Africa. That wasn't even a worry or a care. As you know, what was his name, that guy that was doing the far right? The only reason why a lot of those groups were banned and disbanded was because it seemed a bit like it was an infiltration at home, just like how when America and the USSR began to distrust each other after the war. Then after they started to distrust each other after the war, there was that big distrust of anyone that was teaching Marxist or socialism or anything, any such rhetoric, you were branded in the media as a communist in America. They say you dirty commie, and they will try to either lock you up and brand you a traitor. But the propaganda or the media, the wheels, the cogs got into motion, and people were locked down for that. Whether it was true what was being said or not. So they were protecting philosophies and approaches, but like I said, they were still led by what? The science, right? Don't believe me, check it out. They didn't go in there and kill all those evil scientists. Those scientists were seen as sterile. They weren't a part of the process. Well, how can a man that sit in his lab and design something to kill thousands of people in one motion and then bring it to a nation as if it was something great for the nation, be a hero or sterile, but yet they were used by that other side that they were designing it to kill as a continuation of their work. It is what it is, you know. So it's 6-1, as the saying goes, 6-1 and half a dozen of the other. The Doctor's Surgery, Britain's first Black current affairs show. Don't let them bamboozle you. Learn the facts. Check it out for yourself. They fully well know what is what. But like Boris Johnson says, which is true in part, it's too late now for Britain to sugarcoat and cover up its history. But I do have the philosophical thinking, and it may just be a philosophy, it may never manifest, that if you are an evil person, just like a little pervert man did name that they were talking about the other day, Jimmy Savile. I should know his name. All they should say is that in entertainers or prominent entertainers in the music industry, created certain perverted acts, did certain perverted things, and perverted the justice amongst especially women, and their names, images, everything is wiped from the annals of history. But now, 300 years from now, you who's a do-gooder may not be ever be remembered, but 300-400 years from now, they're going to still be talking about Jimmy Savile as if he's some folk hero or legend. Think about that. They believe in their thinking and their philosophy that eternal life is granted through memory. Once you're calling the person's name, they're still alive and they will be forever be remembered. This is why they build their mausoleums and museums and all these things to garner memory, to be remembered. These statues, right? Get rid of them, wipe them, erase them from history, erase them from existence themselves as if they never existed. Why are we giving them the credence of continuously repeating their names so that they're etched in the minds of people, generation after generation, as if they were someone great? I know about a man named Jack the Ripper, whether he was a book cartoon character or someone from a storybook or whether he really existed. Jack the Ripper. What did he do? Oh, he raped prostitutes and killed them. Huh? Think about it. These are the people that are immortalized in these countries. We should be erasing them from history. And then we wonder why these nations create such perversion. Our youths grow up listening to about these people, learn about these people, learn about the perversiveness of these people. They themselves want to be infamous. What are they going to do? They associate perversion with infamy. So what do? They want to be that gangster. They want to create that longevity of their own character. So, we have a caller?
Yeah.
All right, we got a live caller. Hold on, caller, bear with me a second. Caller, you're live. What's your name? Where you calling from?
I'm Kwame from the walls of Nottingdale, Shepherd's Bush borders.
How you doing, Kwame? Good to hear from you.
London. And I've been moved by your comment and analysis, and I don't normally do this, but you mentioned that no one is about to respond to the major issues you brought up on this program.
Mm-hmm.
And I was more or less inspired to respond to it, because you mentioned you were going to close it down, because what you're talking about is not merely local or merely to do with London, because this is really international.
Mm-hmm.
What we call it in the terms of the Rastafari, they call it the outer national,
Mm-hmm.
which is basically the entire global issue of not merely race and politics, but the fact that this youth movement they've been waiting in the wings. 500 years on, Black Lives Matter is merely just a pinch of salt in terms of the bigger issues that are surrounding the whole thing about the Black lives themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Not merely the ones that have died, but the ones like us who are still here and waiting for some post-abolition, something better than a misadventure. I mean, people are dying
Mm-hmm.
within the NHS with this COVID-19. And to me, I just think that the lockdown is merely just almost, in effect, almost like a gimmick in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
What's a better word? What's happening with this lockdown is that the very poor people who cannot survive without the lockdown are under pressure anyway.
Mm-hmm.
They are the ones who are the last in the line to get a response from this thing called the government. And despite that, the slow reaction to it, I mean, almost what we call the Black, have been waiting. We've been under lockdown since 1493. We're talking about the Caribbean side. Someone mentioned Ghana earlier.
Yeah.
But the fact that Ghana is responding, because Ghana has, like you said, has always been almost like an open door towards the post-slavery, post-slave and what do you call it, the mentality of the slave trade, and the Almina, what's the other place that the port where the slaves were moving on. But
Mm-hmm.
Ghana has always, you're right, they always had this more gentlemanly approach, more concerned approach in the whole of West Africa as a whole.
Yeah.
To be more encompassed, to listen basically, so it's opposed to Nkrumah.
Mm-hmm.
And apart from that, we're looking at a very, very difficult issue here. As part of I hate to call it the black race thing,
Yeah.
but the race issue has always been part of a post-industrial problem.
Yeah.
What I refer to as the white tribe, I use the word tribe in inverted commas,
Mm-hmm.
because mainly I'll say because they are apparently globally they are minority
Mm-hmm.
in terms of numbers and population.
Yeah.
So I'm using the word tribe in terms of their little group there, which is like 1 billion plus, and we got another 7 billion or of that. They have 1.5 billion, which is a minority anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But they refer to us as ethnic minority, and the word ethnic is what upsets me most.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're looking at the global structure, they would be the ethnic, not us. There's nearly 1.5 billion of us. How could we, as 1.5 billion, be an ethnic
Yeah.
in terms of the global? That's another issue. Leave the numbers up. On the lockdown, I'm thinking, well, how are we going to unlock this thing? We
Mm-hmm.
have been under lockdown long before the coronavirus, all right?
Mm-hmm.
Trying not to laugh because I look at on this mass media hyperactivity with TV, press, radio. And apart from Omega, we get very little feedback on any kind of positive reactions to what's going on. Just not in the mass media, but generally what they call current affairs,
Yeah.
politics. And I have to commend the management for really doing this really interesting job, even long before this crisis began.
Mm-hmm.
And the crisis I'm talking of there's two crises we're talking.
Mm-hmm.
One is the crisis of the global thing with the endemic and the COVID-19, and all crisis which is engulfed within that. So
Mhm.
we on our own really have two crises going on at the same time.
Yeah.
I got to commend the youth you said earlier.
Yeah.
Movement of the people there, give them credit. Okay, Saturday went a bit crazy, but that was indulgence. That was deliberate as well. I think that wasn't a coincidence. There's no way that could be an accident. And any other brother or sister who wants to comment or inspire us as to why this was some kind of accident, I would love to know later on.
Yeah.
After, and see what's happening there with the lockdown. They were allowed to leave wherever part of England they came. Okay, Churchill's statue was under lockdown anyway because that was covered up long before they arrived, and they knew damn well it was covered up.
Yeah.
But they didn't come there to do anything. They had other issues. They had other agendas, and I reckon the government knew about it because they were not coming here like just to be having a social affair on the street with banners and go home and have a pint of beer. No way. That was never going to be.
No.
The police knew as well. Let's get real about it all. These shameless people, they really have no respect. Not merely to the black. Stiff upper lip, okay, but not for us. Come on. Our movements have been hijacked since Marcus Garvey. And we've had one over the other side of the Atlantic with Malcolm X. All of it, Luther King, you can mention all of them. All of it has been hijacked.
Yeah.
And again, that is no coincidence. But there is other currents moving around the world. The Chinese know it, hence they're in Africa. They're not there because they love Africa. They're pragmatic. But give them credit, they're not going in there to fight war and to kill black men and take their land. So on that side of things,
can we say so? Because there are currently few intellectuals that actually see it as a modern day colonization in terms of, at the moment as we speak, there's over 10 million Chinese participants now in Africa, with even one country, I'm not sure which country is off memory, having a police station in an African nation, a Chinese police station.
How has that been allowed to happen? Or is it merely hearsay? Oh, this can't be real, surely.
For me at the moment, that's a very good question. That's a very good point. I will have to check it out, and I will check it out, and I will give you confirmation next week, and I can break it down where if it does exist, I'll give exact specifications. That's a good point.
Yeah, it's crucial as well. This is very serious. If this is the nature of what China is doing there, then I will have to blame the Africans for that because we've been there before. Come on, Africa has been colonized. I mean, nearly 150 years on, since 1889, and it seems that no one has learned anything. Because in Nkrumah, Kaunda, Nyerere, I don't want to use the Mandela thing because I think he's let us down dismally in terms of what's happened post Winnie Mandela's death and the crisis of the poor in Africa, in South Africa. But that's another issue. That's for another time. Let's get back to basics now. In terms of the common voice and consensus you mentioned earlier, the hijacking was always going to be part of it. I mean, look at the psychology of what's happening in terms of how the police react to demonstrations in the center of London or in any city in England. It will always be that, okay, if it's leaning towards what we call the right side of things, okay, let it go. The youth will come and do their thing. They will let them go, have them in Oxford Circus with their balloons and see it, let it go for another day. But if it's anything to do with people who really want to be radical about challenging the system, then we're going to have almost a civil war in effect with riot police, the gear, the cannons, or whatever it is they use.
Yeah.
Because here in England, we forget at our peril, this place is hardly liberal when it comes to the black. So it shouldn't be in any way, shape, or form a problem or a dilemma or even an excuse or surprise that the response will be different if we are on the streets. We know that.
Yeah, I'm going
to. The youth are bold about it, which is good.
I'm going to have to wrap up the call now because we've only got a minute left on air. But I'm grateful you've called in and made those points that you've made. So if you could wrap up for me in like 10 seconds, then I have to close the show.
All right, I'll do that. What I will end up is that locking requires a breakout. Good and evil, okay. There's no chance that the race thing will go away. But as we're caught in the middle, the sandwich job cannot work. We have to empower ourselves. Us, only us. Our struggle continues.
All right.
Cheers.
Thank you very much. Yeah, big up Kwame down there in the Shepherd's Bush side of town. Like I said, we only got like a matter of a few seconds left. It's the doctor's surgery. We're back next week, Tuesday from 8 until 11, bringing you Britain's first Black current affairs show. Until next week, take care, London. Give care, and keep thinking, keep checking. Take care.